That girl independent. Oh my god, that's my type of tip.
Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Shayla, but you can call me Shay, and today I have a very special video for you guys once again. So you guys already know the deal. Make sure you go ahead and subscribe to my channel if you are not already subscribed. Like this video because I know you're gonna like this video, and then also go ahead and click the bell so that you are notified anytime that I post a video. And then lastly, make sure you go ahead and follow me on my new Instagram that is specifically for natural hair in my YouTube. That's chae.butta. Yeah, let's get right into it. Okay, so if you've seen the title of today's video, then you know that I'm about to be doing an updated eyebrow routine. Now I know some of you might be thinking it's a little soon to be doing another eyebrow routine because I just did one. However, it wasn't my best video and I really feel like I could give you guys a better eyebrow routine, so I decided that I'm going to do that today. And I'm also going to be adding in some of my grooming tips and not just how I fill in my eyebrows, because I feel like that's just as important. You want to make sure that you have a good foundation before you even start filling it in. Yeah, that's what today's video is going to be about. Okay, so starting off, this is what my eyebrow is looking like. It's not too bad, but there is definitely room for improvement. So I'm gonna start by cutting it down a little bit. So you know that it's probably time to cut your eyebrows down if you have to kind of lay them to the side in order for them to lay down instead of just, you know, brushing them straight up. And if when you brush them straight up, it's not like a straight line going across, like as you can see these hairs are sticking out. These little hairs sticking out are a sign that you need to cut your eyebrows down if you want the shape to be nice and sharp. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and I'm gonna do that using these teeny scissors. These scissors are like specifically made for cutting like small hairs. They're super sharp and they're really small, so I can get nice and precise. So when you are cutting down your eyebrows, you want to make sure you're using something that's kind of like these. Okay, so I'm starting by brushing them all up in an upwards motion, and then I'm gonna grab my scissors and point them at a downward angle and cut any hairs that are sticking out of place. And then after every go through, I'll just keep brushing it up so I can see what the line's looking like. And I'll do the same thing on the end. Now be warned, if you do have thinner eyebrows, you might want to either skip this step or not do as much, because sometimes like laying them down helps them to look a little bit thicker. So if you're worried about that, then you might not have to do as much. Next, I'm going to take a razor. This is a very small and sharp razor. Well, it was sharp at one point. It's kind of dull now. But I use this to get the extra hairs that are on top of my brow. So I'm gonna take my fingers and hold my skin tight and then start gently brushing down with the razor towards my brow. I'm gonna try to get rid of as many as I can with this razor, but it is very dull. But whatever you don't get with the razor, you'll just have to tweeze. Sorry if my eyes are watering, y'all, it's allergy season. I'm gonna go in with my tweezers and try to get the rest of the hairs on top. And so now I'm gonna go ahead and do the bottom. And so to do that, I'm gonna brush all of the eyebrow hairs in an upwards motion so that I can really see what the line of the arch of my eyebrow looks like. When you focus on what your shape is supposed to look like, it'll be easier to see what hairs don't really belong. Just from looking at it now, I can see like this hair and some of these just are out of line. So you want to go through and pluck all of the hairs that pretty much aren't falling in line with your natural arch. When I do the underside of my eyebrow, I like to use more of a precision tweezer with like a sharp end, just so that I know I'm getting the right hairs, because when you use a thicker tweezer, sometimes you'll grab more than one. And when it comes to shaping the bottom, like that arch, you don't want to grab too much. So at this point, I'm almost done. I went ahead and cleaned up the bottom, and the top is pretty much clean. And then lastly, I'm gonna go ahead and clean up the tail of it. So at this point, I'm actually finished with it, and I think it looks pretty good. Yeah, it looks pretty decent. I didn't have to do much because my eyebrows weren't that bad, but honestly, when you're grooming your eyebrows, a little bit goes a long way. So there's definitely a bit of a difference there. Versus so done versus I'm done. Versus done versus I'm done. Okay, so now I have finally finished grooming both eyebrows, and this is what they look like. Pretty sharp if you ask me. So now that I've done some basic grooming, I'm gonna go ahead and start filling them in. So to fill in my eyebrows, I use the Anastasia Beverly Hills Dip Brow Pomade. This is what it looks like. This stuff is pretty thick, so you do not need a lot of it at all, and it'll last you a long time. I think I've had this for over a year, honestly. Now when I fill in my brows, I feel like a lot of people, when they fill them in, they kind of do like an outer shape, which works for some people, but it's not really what I do. When I fill in my brows, I like to just darken it where it's not the same shade. So in this eyebrow, I feel like I need to be filled in around here and around here, because it's just a little bit lighter than the rest. That's basically how I choose where and how to fill in my eyebrows. So I'm going to take this small angled brush, really just tap it in there. You don't want to scoop it out because this stuff is very dark and thick. I'm going to go ahead and fill in right here. It's a little bit light, and then also up here. And then after I apply it, I like to brush it out just to make sure it's not clumped up anywhere and it's nice and evenly spread. And then towards the front of my brows, I like to kind of just leave it alone because I don't want it to look boxy. And that's as much as I'm gonna fill it in. And that's gonna be it for this one. But I definitely don't have to fill that one in as much because it's already dark. So this is what they look like immediately after I fill them in, which is pretty messy. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean it up with concealer, which is the best part. I use 2 different LA Girl Pro concealers. This is what they look like. And I mix these 2 together to get the right color. I have one in creamy beige and then one in cool tan. They do have a felt tip that you can apply it with, but I did not trust myself to use something this big. So I use a medium-sized angled brush just to make sure it's nice and sharp. On the back of my hand, I'm gonna take a little bit of each concealer, and this is the brush I'm gonna take to combine them. So once I combine these nice and evenly, this is a pretty good color. So I'm gonna go ahead and take my brush with a little bit of concealer on it, and then I'm gonna go directly, not directly underneath the brow, but just a little bit below so that I have space for mistakes. I'm gonna kind of carve out the shape of it, and you gotta kind of lift your brow to really get it. So I'll carve out the basic shape, and then I'll go in a little bit closer. And so now they look a lot more clean and sharp. And personally, I like to do the top of my brow too, but I'll take a little bit more of the darker one to do that because the skin on top of my eyebrow is darker than on the bottom. And the same technique applies. Go a little bit over top and then gradually bring it in. I'm gonna do some final cleaning up. And then now it's time to blend it all out. So when I start blending on my eyebrows, I like to use a small blending brush that is wet with some setting spray or water, whatever you have. So this is what my brows look like when I'm done. But yeah, I think they look pretty good, especially for having to do half of this in the camera. They look pretty good. And I like doing it this way because I like it to look a little bit more natural than like painted on. So that's why I really only try to fill in specifically where it's needed and just groom them very nicely so that I don't have to do too much work and like overdraw or anything to make sure the hairs don't look out of place, stuff like that. Making sure you have something done to them before you start filling them in makes a world of difference, I promise you. So that's gonna be it for this week's video. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial and I hope you guys learned something from it. If you guys did, make sure you comment down below and let me know. And if you haven't already liked this video, make sure you go ahead and like it, and then also follow me on my new Instagram. Everything's gonna be linked down below. And yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video.